another individual who is the best to ever do it in his own right. Man, the myth, the legend, national recruiting analyst for On3. We killed a lot of time this Tuesday and Wednesday and throughout the week getting ready for this On3 NIL Elite Series event. Josh Newberg. Josh, how we doing, man?
I'm great. Great experience. Proud to be a part of the On3 family after such a just special event that was put on in Nashville over the week. Can't say enough about it, but we're going to get into it right now.
I say we killed a lot of time. That probably isn't the right way to say it. We were just rolling through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Tuesday and Wednesday were like the real meat of our time there. I mean, we sat down with, if it wasn't 30, it was close to 30 of the top prospects in the country, Josh. And there is a lot of things that we got to take away from that event in terms of these kids and where the recruitment stands right now. So like you said, let's jump right into it. Our last interview of the day was potentially the most insightful interview of the day, and we sat down with 5-star plus wide receiver, top dog in the country at the wide receiver position, Jeremiah Smith. Josh, he came in with the Ohio State smock, and men lie, women lie, but bags don't lie. He also came in with an Ohio State backpack and a Georgia duffel bag. Thoughts on Jeremiah Smith and maybe just how you feel overall about his recruitment after that event?
He keeps them guessing, doesn't he?
He does, man.
Jeremiah Smith committed to Ohio State since December, but is taking visits. He'll be at UF this weekend. He's been to Georgia. He's going to also, he told us, going to schedule official visits to Miami and Florida State. So he'll visit the 3 in-state schools in the state of Florida, Georgia, maybe more, but Ohio State is where he's committed. Now, Ohio State fans have been, well, you got two sides of it. You know, you got the fans that are ready to jump ship because he's taking visits, but then you got the other side, who's a majority of the fans who think, well, he's going to stay committed to us. I mean, look what happened last year with Brandon Inniss, kind of the same story. Rumors all summer that Brandon Inniss was going to look around. He was going to end up flipping. Brandon Inniss signs with Ohio State in the end. Well, Jeremiah Smith had the opportunity to maybe put Ohio State fans' minds at ease when he sat down with us, but he did confirm that he's going to make a, quote, final decision in December before signing day, which means while he's holding his spot on the Ohio State commit list, he is open and looking at other programs.
That's one of those guys, too, that if somebody else wants to look around, you say, okay, well, if you're a staff, maybe we'll look around too, but not the top wide receiver in the country, Jeremiah Smith. If he wants to go and play the field a little bit and look around, you say, Jeremiah, that's great. We have a spot for you when you get here. I would have a difficult time, I don't know if imagining is the right word, but I mean, Brian Hartline's just that guy. So if Jeremiah Smith were to leave Ohio State, I think that'd be not surprising, but I have a hard time seeing Brian Hartline let a guy like this get away. But anytime you hear final decision, it's never a great thing.
I think it's a leverage play.
Sure.
I don't think that he's doing this because he doesn't know he knows exactly what he's doing. He's the number 1 wide receiver in America. He's the number 2 player overall. He has the leverage to do what he wants. And I think in this day and age of college sports, you should take advantage of that. Now, whether or not he ends up flipping, I don't know, but they are giving him the space, meaning Ohio State is giving him the space to take these trips.
Another one of the top dogs that we sat down with, 5-star plus edge, Colin Simmons. Josh, he told you, I guess he told us, I was sitting there too, but you asked a great question. Who's your leader right now? He pondered. He thought about it. You could tell he didn't necessarily want to give a super clear lean as to where he is right now, because maybe he's not even sure. But he said Texas and LSU are the 2 that are front running for him right now. Not a huge surprise, but what do you make of his recruitment right now, Josh?
I thought that he did have a leader. That's why I kind of pressed him on it. He nobody asks those questions anymore in recruiting. It's kind of weird. Like, nobody asks the recruits, who's your leader? And the reason I asked it is because Colin Simmons has had the opportunity to take a bunch of visits. He went to a lot of places in the spring, got to see a lot of schools firsthand. And I know it's the midpoint of his recruitment, and that's how I prefaced it. At the midpoint of your recruitment, who leads? Let's be honest here for a second. And he was. And he said that it's Texas and LSU at the top. Not unsurprising, but I do think, Texas A&M, Florida, I think in the end, Georgia and Alabama could come knocking. And I think in the fall, we're going to see if Texas and LSU are still considered the leaders by the time we get to like October, November, because he's most likely going to make a December decision. And honestly, I don't think Colin Simmons' recruitment is really going to start until December.
Wide receiver Mike Matthews also sat down with us. Feels like it's a kind of back and forth between Clemson and Tennessee. I mean, Alabama could get in the mix. Talked about wanting to take a visit there at some point towards the end of June. What did you think about Mike Matthews? You put in a pick, actually, right after he sat down with us.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes on that. Well, we sat down, and before the cameras started, I had my computer up, and Mike Matthews saw that his player profile was on my computer. And I noticed that he was looking at it, so I pointed at the recruiting prediction machine, where it had, I believe, Clemson as the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, do you agree with that? And he looked at it, and he said, nah. He goes, I think Tennessee should be on top. And I go, oh, really? He goes, yeah, and I think Alabama should be a little higher. I said, oh, okay. So what if I put in a pick for Tennessee? And he kind of gave me he didn't confirm it, but I thought he gave me a head nod. I maybe I'm wrong, but I thought he gave me a head nod. So I went ahead and I put in a pick for Tennessee. I told him I was going to put in a pick for Tennessee. I tweeted that I put in a pick for Tennessee. He retweeted me. He liked the tweet. So, hey, we're all on board with that.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. Like you said to a lot of these kids, Josh, still so early in these kids' recruitment, but even so, I mean, for Tennessee to be that firmly in the mix for another big-time wide receiver, you got to be excited if you're on Rocky Top. I want to make sure we go quickly here so we don't take too much of your time, Josh, because we could probably kill a full 3 hours going through all of these kids' recruitments. But Brandon Baker, the top offensive tackle in the country, he had something to say about where he sat with On3's rankings. He's like, man, y'all got me number 4 offensive tackle. Like, hey, Brandon, it's still very early. You know, Charles Power, I'm telling you, best in the business. Like, trust the process here a little bit. And he, I think he wasn't upset by that, but you could tell, I mean, just competitive guy, wants to be the top offensive tackle. And look at the industry rankings, he's the top offensive tackle right now.
Yeah, he again, I had my computer screen up. We were about to do the interview. He saw it. He goes, do you guys really think? He goes, you guys think I'm number 4? And it wasn't like he wasn't challenging us. It was almost, to me, JD, like he was making a mental note. Like, oh, okay, they think I'm 4? Okay. Like, he didn't challenge us in any way. He just wanted to know, like, you guys really think I'm 4, not 1? So I like that. And then what do we gain from his recruitment? I was a little surprised when you asked him about USC. It didn't seem, because, there's a pipeline from his high school. Mm-hmm. It didn't seem like things are that hot and heavy compared to some of the other programs we talked about. Georgia, Oregon. He told me his 2 sleepers were Tennessee and Florida State. Mm-hmm. But USC, it didn't sound like things are really hot between the 2 of them just yet.
Which is kind of bizarre because I think he's been there 8, maybe 9 times or 9 with an official visit if he were to go there for an official visit. But yeah, USC, you thought maybe would be a little bit more in the mix given their proximity. But yeah, Josh, Brandon Baker. Again, I don't think he has a visit scheduled to USC. Check me on that.
He does not, but he mentioned in our interview that, I'll probably set one up.
So 9 unofficial visits to USC. I mean, that's a lot of visits. But yeah, Brandon Baker, we're sticking with that whole theme of backpacks don't lie. Had an Oregon backpack. So take of that as you will. KJ Bolden, top safety in the country. Yeah. We sat down with him. Now, he will have gone to Georgia after this official visit 14 times. Josh, how much stock do you put into that? Where do you see his recruitment standing after us getting a chance to talk to him?
He'll be at Georgia by the end of this weekend 14 times, and this includes the fact that he said he had to detach himself from Georgia throughout the spring so that he could take a look at other schools. So it shows you that even when he let go of Georgia, he's coming back to Georgia. So I like where the Dogs stand. I think Ohio State would probably be my dark horse pick right now. He's got a family member coach in there. He's definitely got some connections. He's going to take an official visit to the Buckeyes, but in the end, I think the Dogs are just going to be hard to beat for the number 1 safety in America.
It'll be tough to beat. I mean, that many times. Also, they're in his backyard to get that many visits. I mean, it's curious. I know Clemson, I think, is also getting an official visit here pretty soon as well. That's on deck for him. I'm curious to see what happens there, Josh. Josh, before we get you out of here, curious to hear who was maybe the most intriguing / fascinating. Doesn't have to be the player specifically, but maybe just the conversation. Could be committed, could be uncommitted. Just from the whole event, what were your thoughts there?
Oh, man. Some of the guys that we talked to that I really was intrigued by that we already mentioned was KJ Bolden, Colin Simmons. Love their candor and just their ability to kind of express themselves with some humor. Dylan Stewart, we gained Dylan Stewart, hard to crack him for some answers, but we did get something big because just a couple weeks ago, he was telling Chad Simmons that he was going to make a decision in August before his senior year. But he sat down with us and said, I'm going to take it into the fall. I want my stock to rise. Being committed, people don't talk about you. You kind of drop in the rankings at times. So according to Dylan, he's going to take this thing into the fall, which is a big move for the #1 player in America. Jeremiah Smith, he was very candid. I liked when I asked him about why does he respond to the trolls on Twitter, and he had a good answer for that. Jarrett Gibson, the running back out of IMG Academy. Yeah. Some great answers on why he's high on Texas and also why he's high on Miami, not to forget about them. But all in all, I just enjoyed talking to Mike Mapp, all these guys. It was a very enjoyable day, an incredible experience, not only for us, but also for the athletes involved. And I think that just moving forward, this On3 NIL Elite event is going to be the event of the summer moving forward.
No, without question. I mean, these kids, not only did we get a chance to talk to them and get a lot of information on their recruitment, but also, the education they left with in the NIL space. I had multiple parents and players come up to me like I had something to do with the event, like I was any way involved like Grant Furking was, and just say, thank you, this is one of a kind. We are so much better for having been here, and we'll tell everybody else that we know that's in our same position. Josh, I'm going to throw 2 more recruits at you that I thought were fascinating. Yeah. 2 Ryans for you. Ryan Wingo, who I know Georgia would love to get, it sounds like, with Dylan Raiola making a push there as well. And then Ryan Puglisi, who is committed to Georgia. Wingo's recruitment is going to obviously be ongoing. He's a big-time player, 5-star wide receiver. Excited to track his recruitment. I thought he was phenomenal to sit down with. Ryan Puglisi, Josh, we didn't necessarily go into that interview wanting to have a in-depth discussion about, will you leave Georgia? We kind of were just going to say he's committed to Georgia. We'll let it ride. But he steered the conversation that way, saying, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be a Bulldog.
Yeah, we didn't want to bring up Dylan Raiola, especially in the beginning of the conversation, or maybe at all, to Ryan Puglisi, because he committed to the Dogs back in October. He's seen Dylan Raiola commit, didn't bat an eye at that. And when he sat down with us, in the first question, he managed to bring up Dylan's name and the fact that he's committed and the fact that he's looking forward to the competition. And I walked away thinking that in no way did I feel that Ryan Puglisi is even going to flinch at the notion that Dylan Raiola could possibly take his spot, which is great to see if you're a Bulldog fan. That's what you want. It's not about, it just comes down to playing ball. And you could tell with Ryan Puglisi, that's what it's about. He doesn't care about the star rankings. He doesn't care about the rumors. He didn't care about the fact that other teams are hitting him up as soon as Dylan Raiola commits. Ryan Puglisi seems like he's a dog, and I don't think that's going to change.
And it felt very healthy. Like, it felt like one of those, hey, I'm excited to compete. And he even said, he's like, I texted Dylan after he committed, and I said, I see why you committed here. I committed here for the same reason. It's a great place to be and play in the SEC under Kirby Smart with all the other talent we have around us. So I'm excited for how iron's going to sharpen iron there. Josh, going to be a lot of fun. Josh, appreciate all your time. Y'all, if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel because Josh's show, The Inside Scoop, is a banger multiple times a week. Keep you in the know for all things about the lifeblood of college football, that is recruiting. Josh, thanks so much, man. Go get some R&R, brother.
Hey, I had a great time covering the event with you, JD. Proud to be a member of this On3 team.
Proud to be a member as well. Proud to be on the same team as you, big dog. Josh Newberg, best in the industry. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.